having trouble trying to sleep.
Hey, what's keeping you up at night out there?
I'm counting sheep but running out.
Yeah, we're here to help you unleash your career and business.
Time ticks by.
Tick-tock.
Still I try. No rest for cross chops in my mind. On my own, here we go.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We are live and in living color here down in H-Town, where I tell you what, somebody turned up the thermostat lately. Whoo, can I get an amen?
Amen.
It is hot. H to the O to the T out there today. Hey, and it's going to get hot here on the show today as well. I'm your host, Ron Klinger. Always a pleasure, always an honor and a privilege to be on the airwaves with you. And again, I start out every show with this really quick early segment, begging, groveling. Wait a minute. Blowing the little red whistle to get your attention. If you're not out following me along on Facebook out there, boy, howdy, you better get there quick. Very easy to do. Just hop on out to Facebook. In the search bar, type in Unleashed Radio Hour. I repeat, this is a subliminal message. You will go to Facebook. Wait a minute, don't do it while you're driving. But you will go to Facebook and search Unleashed Radio Hour. Like the page, follow along. Hey, if you're on the Twitterverse, you can also follow along with me at Ron Unleashed. Oh, wait a minute, at Superfans4Biz, the number 4. Superfans4Biz. I'll tell you what that's all about right after these messages.
When I say Italy, what comes to mind?
Venice.
Capri. Oh my gosh, Capri was marvelous.
The views, the cliffside views, or traveling to Sorrento.
Perello Tours.
Oh, Perello Tours, for sure.
Perillo.
Hi, I'm Steve Perillo of Perillo Tours. With over 70 years of tour experience to Italy, it's no wonder Perillo Tours is synonymous with travel to Italy.
I think of the culture.
And to walk up to certain areas and touch a wall and think, well, this wall's like 3,000 years old.
Being on a Perillo tour on our anniversary was better than anything I can remember ever on an anniversary.
I personally approve every itinerary to ensure a stress-free, once-in-a-lifetime vacation.
Salute! Call now for your free insider's guide to Perillo's Italy. Call in the next 30 minutes and qualify for a $100 gift card when you travel with us. Call 800-531-3990, 800-531-3990, 800-531-3990.
This is Business 1110.
Yes, gotta let that get you there. Hey, we love to rock, we love to roll, even though this is business radio. You're dialed in, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to the Unleashed Radio Hour. I am your host, Ron Klinger. This is a production of Motivational Transitions. You can always learn more by going to motivationaltransitions.com. Again, all one word, motivationaltransitions.com. Now, before we get in and bring our guest on the airwaves here, I just got to do a little teeny tiny plug. This is the second of a 4-series part in the month of August. Everything, and I mean everything, this month is about being able to launch into and to unleash a successful academic year, school year ahead. I know that is too much to the chagrin of 3 kids in my household that they're going to be back into the routine as soon as next week. Some folks here in the area started today. Some folks out all over the country may have started sooner, but it is that time. And in the purpose of this show, if you just now dial in for the very first time, it's about unleashing your career and business. In this case, I believe it takes the whole village to raise a child. It takes all of us to be a part of a successful academic career in those academic pursuits that ultimately leads to, guess what? Being successful in college and in your career. And we are all benefactors of that process as a result. Okay, so look, go out. I want you to follow along, not only on Facebook, follow along at unleashedradiohour.com. You can go. We had great tips last week from the one and the only, the extraordinaire, Mr. Joe Miller from Seabrook Intermediate. It just so happens that he is my kids teacher, but he is a phenomenal educator, and we did some tips on getting started for the school year last week that I know you want to listen to on the podcast, and you can also search out on iTunes. Just search Unleashed Radio Hour. And I bring that up because I'm excited to know, it's always fun when I get a guest on the airwaves that I know who has listened to the show. It's like, okay, they know the wild, they know the crazy, they know the energy that's going to come in, so it's all good in the hood right here on the Unleashed Radio Hour. But it's my pleasure to bring to the airwaves Mr. Mark Beal. Mr. Beal is a managing partner of a New York-based tailor, one of the world's leading consumer public relations agencies, and as a man of many hats, including granddad, that I got to witness because we're now out there connected on Facebook, he is also an adjunct professor in the School of Communication at Rutgers University, which is what has led him, the lessons that he was hearing that students weren't learning in college, that led him to his book, 101 Lessons They Never Taught You in College. Mark, welcome to the airwaves.
Ron, I love it. I love it. It's the best intro I ever had, and I tell you, I'm thinking about, as you said, I've watched your shows, I've listened to your shows, and as I went through my lessons, lesson 62, love where you are working. I can just, every time I hear you, I hear the energy, the passion, the love for what you do. It is so motivating and so inspirational.
Well, hey, I appreciate that because I had a chance to do a little background. You do some great work, too, so I think we're going to have some dialogue off air as to what some things that we've got going on, but I really am excited to be able to share, and I think we shared back and forth. I've got some higher ed background, and so from a faculty perspective, I loved what you did, what you heard from the students, from a staff and administrative perspective. I've been preaching and teaching some of the same things, but man, you got this wonderful book I've got in my hands, 101 Lessons They Never Taught You in College. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to learn more, you can find it out on Amazon, or to learn more directly, go to 101 lessonstheynevertaughtyou.com. Again, 101 lessonstheynevertaughtyou.com. You know, hey, and real quick, Mark, thanks for the personal note in the book that you sent me. I went through it, and the first thing I did, I loved how you put it on a tee for me to read. Hey, 20, number 4, number 26, number 39 were the ones that you connected with me, and that meant a lot to me in getting your book. But man, let's talk real quick. I know a little bit about the why, but our listeners may not understand what drove you to put all of these 101 lessons together in a book.
Well, you know what? As you said, I spent, and I'm in my 27th, 28th year or so on the marketing PR side with Taylor, and so I've been on that side of the fence where I receive resumes, I review resumes, I interview candidates, all that kind of thing. But then 5 years ago, Rutgers called and said, you know what, we're starting to want to offer more public relations and marketing courses. Do you mind teaching? And I said, absolutely. I'd love to do that, to give back to students, to share what I've learned and really deliver some value to them. And starting with that first class in 2013, right up through this past summer course, I kept getting the same questions. You know, how do you network? How do you meet people? How do I create a resume? How do I get informational interviews? How do I conduct an interview? How do I ultimately get a job? And so what I realized were all these questions they weren't getting answers to, you know, and they just didn't have the, and I don't mean every student. Of course, some students may find the answer somewhere, but I thought the answers really could be these lessons that it seems like a lot of these students, whether they were from Rutgers or from some other school across the country, just didn't have. And so I thought, let's put these together. Let's serve it up to them in a way that it works, whether they're a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, or have just graduated, along that journey, as you said, from transitioning from college, from coursework, from fun, and we should be having fun. That's one of the lessons.
Amen.
To a career, though, right? And let's give them some of these things that can help them. So it's they inspired it, both the students I teach as well as those who call me as they're preparing for graduation and just ask for advice on how to make that transition and get that first or second job.
Well, and that is so critical and crucial. And, you know, when you look at it, and I guarantee you've had students in your classroom, because Lord knows I have, where I've added to that. You know, right now in the United States, I think the last stat that I saw is that students are carrying the burden of the largest debt line in United States history, which is that of student loan debt right now, to the tune of $1.3 trillion. And so getting out, being able to take care of that responsibility by finding meaningful work and meaningful pay is critical to today's college graduates.
It's critical, and it doesn't just happen, right? I don't get the diploma, next thing you know, I'm walking into work the next day. It is something that with a team, it's something that you lean on your friends, your mentors, your family, others, and you work on it throughout college so that when you do graduate, you either have the job or you're in a good position, a strong position to to get a job, and it's not just, and I go back to what, as I said, to you in the beginning, love where you're working. It's not just a job. It's a place where you can pursue a passion, a place where you can go somewhere and you love it so much it doesn't even feel like you're working, but you're doing something you love. You're doing something you get excited about, just like you do every single day. And when you go in there, you want to take on the world. You want to win that day at work or at the job.
No, and you're singing and preaching to the choir here. The tabernacle, we in full effect. Hey, and so when you're out there with those Scarlet Knights, look, I know a little bit about colleges and universities, my friend. You've got all these 101 tips that you put together, and for folks, I've got a copy here in studio that I've got in my grubby paws. I love how you put it, and you chunked it down or broke it down into parts, so that there was not just 101 tips, but there is actually a logic behind some of that preparation that students need to start thinking about.
Yeah, and so to your point, I started jotting these lessons down, and then as I did, I said, well, there's got to be some structure and some organization to this. So I did that, and to your point, I followed a couple of areas. One was just kind of overarching thoughts, overarching message. The very first one in the book is, success is a marathon, and that goes to what you and your listeners and I do. It's, it's not about just today, it's not about just tomorrow, but we do have to take kind of a long-term view at where we're going, how we're evolving, how we're growing. But then it goes into more tactical things like, what do I actually have to do when I'm a freshman, sophomore, junior to prepare, to get an internship, to get an experience? And then there's a whole section on interviewing. Interviewing has changed a lot since I graduated.
Big time,
back in the late
brother,
80s.
big time.
Now I've got students that walk in and they say, I've got a Skype interview tomorrow. What do I do? There was no Skype back in 1989 when I got out of school. So there's a whole section just on interviewing, and it's logical stuff. For example, it's just you and I on the phone right now. I have a phone interview tomorrow. Okay, well, the first thing I say is they can't see you. They can't judge you by how you're dressed or how you look, how tall you are, how short you are, but they can judge you by one thing: the passion, the articulation, the confidence in your voice. And if you don't have that, they're going to hang up the phone and say, nice chatting with you, but you don't sound right for me. And that's all they can judge you on, at least for that phone interview. So even that takes a little bit of prepping. Is I've got to come across as confident, passionate, articulate when I have this phone interview.
Absolutely. Hey, and there's a reason I do radio and not TV. Well, hey, and I want to talk about something here, and we're going to be up against our first break here shortly. But I wanted to, before we get into some of these tips, and I absolutely want to do maybe some of your favorite ones we can talk about. I've actually dog tagged and marked a couple that I think are critical as well too from each section of your book. I would imagine you probably find yourself in a very unique position to help mentor and hold up. There's the little red whistle, coach, right? Some of these young folks that here you have a depth and breadth of experience, not only in the work world, but at the C-suite level, that I guarantee you they probably just soak it up like a sponge from you. Am I in the ballpark?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I went to school, the classes, the courses that I got, to me, the greatest value were those professors who were in the real world during the day. They were in the trenches, whatever they were doing, and then they shared with us that at night. And so you got to hear things that were happening in the moment, at the time, challenges they were facing, business challenges they were trying to overcome, solutions they came up with. That's pretty powerful stuff.
No, and that's a big part of it. So, one of the things, and you've got this speckled and peppered in a couple different places that's out there. But I'm curious, is it sometime, am I just crazy, or do sometimes some of my perspective actually resonate with other people? And one of the big things I think that's out there is young folks today, they don't value, or it's got an undervalue of how important gaining any experience that they can get, but more importantly, some relevant experience, because we've been feeding this lexicon of graduate from high school, go to college and get a job. And I'm a huge advocate, and I talk about it, Mark, on the show all the time. We've done a disservice because nowhere in there have we said, get to know yourself, get to know your likes, get some experience so you can channel those energies towards exactly what you're talking about, is finding that passion.
You are spot on. Lesson 35, experience counts. And just as you said it, I say it all the time, experience. It can be any kind of experience, to your point, on two levels. One, so that you can kind of figure out what you like and maybe what you don't like. So that's one. Two, just getting out there and getting experience, whether it's an internship, a volunteer, whether it's I'm making it up, but a big event comes to town every year, a big sports event or an entertainment event, just to work for 7 days at that event to get that experience. And then on the other end, It actually looks good on the resume. It helps you as you eventually compete for jobs. It shows that you went out and got experience. So experience is critical, and I truly believe that starting in even that year before freshman year, and definitely the year after freshman and before sophomore, you've got to be securing some experience. And here's the interesting thing. You don't have to really go too far to find it. You know, there is experience literally in the neighborhood or the community where the school is based. On campus, there is experience opportunities, whether with the athletic department or another department on campus. So it's there. You've just got to go seek it and find it. But there's opportunity.
No, absolutely. And I appreciate that. One, you let me know I'm not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs crazy. But the reality is we've been saying this message for so long. And now those graduates are like, why am I not employable? Why can't I get hired? You don't have any experience. But hey, that music tells me it's time, from my experience, for us to run to a break. We're going to come back right after these messages.
With your arms up in the sky, like you want to testify.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote. Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-207-1265. 800-207-1265. 800-207-1265.
Attention managers, business owners, and human resources professionals. Do you struggle with positively engaging and developing your team? Hi, this is Ron Klinger, host of the Unleashed Radio Hour. For over a decade, I have been coaching and helping leaders just like you. From management and leadership training to individual coaching and support, I can help you address the everyday challenges you face in your business or organization. If you're looking for a partner to your success, call the man who can help you with your plan. You can reach me online at motivationaltransitions.com or by phone at 832-746-9760.
This is Business 1110.
Can't touch this. You can't touch this.
Yeah, it's hammer time here on the Unleashed Radio Hour. Your host, Ron Klinger. Hey, look, speaking of hammer time, can't touch this. We got a book that's hot off the presses today, 101 Lessons They Never Taught You in College, with PR, CEO, exec, adjunct, man of many hats. Mark Beal is on the line with us. You know, Mark, I have to tell you, I'm writing my own book. That's where that @Superfans4Biz comes from. So we'll have to share more of that later.
Absolutely.
But I'm excited to have yours here in studio. You know, we've been connected here, and you know, we're talking about how all of these things matter to the end result. You know, when people say, "Why am I going to go to college?" The last time I checked, nobody said because I'd like to be more scholarly and knowledgeable of all things possible. It's to get a job, right?
That's right. That's right. In fact, to your point, and I've been preaching this for the last few months, I really think it's mandatory. Every school across the country that sophomore year, every student should take a 3-credit course on exactly that. How do I transition from college to a career? And the reason why I say sophomore year, freshman year, you're just settling in, you're just getting transition, you're just figuring out what college is about. It's too early. Sophomore year, though, I think it's the perfect time for that course on how do I prepare over my sophomore, junior, senior year to, just what you said, get a job.
Yeah, and there, believe it or not, because of my background, that was freshmen, and if you're out there listening as parents, I want to give a nugget, and I'd be remiss if I did not. If you're getting ready to have your son or your daughter go off to school, whether it's this fall or next year, look on those college campuses, and it's different on every college and university campus, but there is a program that is officially known as First Year Experience, FYE, and what that does is it helps those freshmen. It's a course, just like Mark was talking about, to help you transition into that freshman year. Why do I know this? Because I've taught it for years. And then a lot of campuses, Mark, have that sophomore experience, which is actually geared towards exactly what you're talking about. It's just not everywhere yet, but it is absolutely powerful to put them on a path of success.
Absolutely. It's you can't wait. What I see a lot is the bell goes off the week before graduation, the day after graduation, and says, okay, what's next? What do we do? And I think we've got to have that trigger much earlier. We've got to get folks just thinking about it. The mindset has to shift as early as sophomore year to be, okay, I got to start thinking about this now. Like while I'm going to school, I've got to think about the internship, the professional experience, the networking, the relationship building now, not 2 years from now when I graduate.
No, absolutely. And a true story that I like to tell is I've got a younger brother who was graduating with a degree in information technology and computer science. Okay, stop for just a second. How many people are graduating with that degree today? and so I'm grateful that he heeded some of my advice, and I threw some support in his corner. And he had an opportunity that before he graduated, 2 consecutive summers before he graduated, he was getting real world. He was cabling, helping to set up networks, helping to do computer installs and setups. He had 2 full years of experience. So by the time he graduated, guess what? That exact place where he got some work had a brand new job that was opened up, and he was the best number 1 qualified person for the job.
To your point, he was learning on the job. In fact, I see that trend now is, students get internships, and a lot of times if they deliver value in those internships, if they come to that internship every day excited and passionate, often it converts right into a job, whether it's then or whether it's when they graduate or even before they graduate, they get that offer. So that's the other thing, too, I try to tell students. Don't look at the internship as just an internship. Look at it as on-the-job training, on-the-job, qualifying for this job, getting the chance to perhaps get hired when you graduate. Because that's, as they're on that internship every day, their managers, their supervisors, they're reviewing them every day. They're looking at them every day. They're evaluating them. Why? Because they think maybe they could have a home here when they graduate in a year or 2 or 3.
And we're getting back, I'm at least seeing it here in the Houston area, where a lot of companies are doing a lot more with co-ops and internships than maybe we have the last 5 or 10 years, because we're getting this shift in the workplace where a lot of boomers are going to retire. And those internships, just like you said, they provide, it's like an in-depth job interview. They truly get to assess, other than sitting down and hoping they get lucky with a 1 hour or a 2 hour interview process. They got different data points to affirm their decision to bring someone on board.
I had a student at Rutgers who, A student, played on the golf team, busy schedule, but he sought out experience in internships and all those things. Last summer, he spent the summer in New York working for the world's largest sports and entertainment marketing agency. Had a great experience, and sure enough, what happened this year, he graduated, didn't have a job yet, but a position opened at that same company. He applied for it and got the job, started last Monday, but it was those steps before that led him there, right? It was the steps of interning there last year, the steps of meeting people there, adding to his professional network there, relationship building, and also going back there when the internship ended. So even though the internship may end for most students in that August time period, you want to stay in contact, stay in touch, check in with those folks, let them know what you're up to, let them know what's happening not just in your world, but also what's new in their world. It's important, that line of communication.
Absolutely, absolutely. And speaking of that line of communication, we got to run to another quick break. We'll come back, talk about more tips about, they don't tell you everything you need to know in college, and that's what we're trying to do, is to give you some knowledge today here on the Unleashed Radio Hour.
Did you know that the average family visits 5 websites before booking a vacation rental? With all this searching from site to site, it can take hours, if not days, to find the perfect place to stay. This is not the ideal way to start your vacation. Save time and money today by visiting Tripping.com, the world's largest vacation rental search engine. Vacation rentals are the perfect option for families, groups, and even solo travelers. They're more affordable than hotels, offer way more space, and come with perks like free Wi-Fi, parking, fully stocked kitchens, backyards, and hot tubs. And Tripping.com is the fastest and easiest way to find the perfect place for you. Simply type in your destination, and Tripping.com shows you all available properties from the top vacation rental sites, so you can search and compare listings all in one place. Visit Tripping.com to find the best vacation rental for your family. That's Tripping.com. To find a place to stay, go to Tripping.com today.
This is Business 1110.
We're back, we're rocking, we're rolling, we're getting down. Yes, this is the experience known as the Unleashed Radio Hour. Your host, Ron Klinger. Look, always bringing the energy, always bringing the excitement, especially when it gets into areas that I feel are my wheelhouse. It just so happens to be the wheelhouse as well of our guest, Mr. Mark Beal, who is managing partner of Taylor, one of the world's leading consumer public relations that's all, folks. Public relations agencies. Now, say that 5 times fast. I'm sure you've got tongue-tied as well before, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So look, when we went to that break and we had to run to it, we had a chance. We were talking about a success story that you know of a student and some very key specific actions. And that's what I'm always about. It's about the action. We could talk about it, but you better be about it by doing something about it. What are some other success stories, or one in particular that pops to your head about them taking some specific steps and possibly lessons that you may have taught them?
There's one I always tell other students. There was wasn't a student of mine who played football up in upstate New York for a Division III school. And one summer he was down in New Jersey where I live and happened to be at my neighbor's house, and through my neighbor heard kind of that I was in marketing. That's all he knew. But he was proactive enough that he came over, looked me in the eye, introduced himself, shook my hand, and said, "Hey, I understand you're in marketing. I'm a sophomore in college. I want to learn more. I want to go into that field. Do you have a few minutes?" Well, as you know, you and I and others will give our time to anyone who shows interest, right? We want to give them anything they have to help set them up for success. So he was so smart in his approach. We met that day. We shook hands. We spent 30 minutes, maybe more, chatting. But then what did he do next? He went back a week later. He shot me an email. "Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Can I call you or email you anytime?" Next thing you know, Thanksgiving or Christmas rolls around. He checks in with me. He says, "I'm setting up my internship for the following summer. Here's some companies I'd like to consider. Do you have any contacts?" So basically what it led to was an ongoing communication, a dialogue, a collaboration, strategizing. I'm helping him, setting him up. But he was doing the work. He was the one who was proactive. He was the one reaching out to me. He was the one. And then next thing you know, we're doing that same thing again junior year and senior year. He reaches out to me maybe February, March before I graduate, said, "I just want to let you know I just secured a major job with a big New York ad agency. I am so excited. Thank you." And I said, "You did all the work. It was just you had the right mindset, the right approach. You weren't just satisfied with just going to school and just playing football. You were taking quality time to create a path to success and a path to this new career." And so I love his story because he does what I don't think don't do. I get a lot of students who just, "Do you have a job? Can I get a job? Do you know of a job?" And if I don't have one, which oftentimes you don't have one at your fingertips, all right, well, I don't, you're not going to help me. I'm going to move on to the next person, as opposed to kind of investing in relationship building and investing in, communications and networking, which is really what it's all about. You've got to make an investment.
You hit the nail on the head. And I say that because I was teaching a class literally just Friday last week, and we were talking about just workplace behaviors. And it dawned on me, and you hit it with that relationship stewarding and building and the constant and the persistent follow-up, is if we take some of the younger folks that have come into the workplace, right, they do not know what it means to answer a telephone without caller ID today.
I'm laughing because I thought you were going to say they don't know how to answer a telephone.
No, well, but look, they don't, because if they don't know who's on the other end. It was funny, and it came up in a conversation where, somebody chimed in, "Well, heck, me and my siblings, we used to run to the telephone to see who it was who we got to talk to." Well, now with technology, I humbly believe it's impacted our ability to build those relationships, because relationships are so much more transactional now than, wait a minute, transformational. So are we transformers, or are we actually just doing transactions today?
This is one of the lessons, lesson 63. This is now you've gotten the internship, you've gotten the job, and it's walk around and meet people. And I tell this to my students. I think they look at me sometimes like maybe I'm a little crazy, but as you said, you can go to an organization, a company now, and if you walk around, most folks are buried in their desks. They've got, they're focused on whatever they're working on. Very few actually get up, shake hands, meet people, introduce themselves. What are you working on? How can we collaborate? How can I help you? And I tell my students, you do that, and folks will look at you like, "Wow, this is great."
It'll separate you from the rest of the crowd, and oh, wait a minute, and give you a true rhythm to your move in the workplace.
Absolutely.
Hey, so look. Everybody's got to dance now. You hear the music because we got to run to... I always try to tie in the bumps to something we're talking about. Hey, we're going to run to a break. We're going to dance when we come back and really dive in and dig into some of these 101 lessons that they never taught you in college with author Mark Beal.
Grandma, can you come out and play?
Sure, Ellie. Oh my, you might want to come here and help Grandma.
What's the matter, Grandma? Can't you stand?
Oh, sorry, honey. It's my knees. They don't work the way they used to.
Does this ever happen to you? Are you on Medicare? You may qualify for a pain-relieving knee brace at little or no cost to you. Call the Health Hotline to see if you qualify. Our friendly agents are standing by 24/7 to help you. We also have braces for your shoulder, ankle, or back pain. And if you're covered by Medicare, you may qualify for free delivery.
Grandma, slow down. I can't keep up.
Maybe you can use a knee brace too, Ellie. Catch me if you can, kiddo.
Call now to get your pain-relieving knee brace. 800-296-1261. 800-296-1261. 800-296-1261. That's 800-296-1261.
This is Business 1110.
Yeah, we coming with it now here on the Unleashed Radio Hour. Yeah, I like my music in case you don't know. You're dialed in. I'm your host, Ron Klinger. Hey, we're having a wonderful dialogue, and it's flying by. I honestly think that our guest today, Mark and I, we could literally go on this all day long. Like really, literally, we'd be too legit to quit today here on the show.
I agree.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just dialing in, I've got Mark Beal with me. He has written his book, 101 Lessons They Never Taught You in College, the essential guide for students and recent graduates to launch their careers. If you're a follower of the show, you know this is about unleashing your career. It's about unleashing your business. And Mark, I'd like to spend this segment, if we could. I'm going to lead in with you, so I'm going to kind of pitch it up there, coach pitch baseball, put it on a tee for you. And I know you're a baseball fan, and kind of go from front to back on a couple of them that I put a little sticker on. I love the ones you put for me. Number 4, be a transformer. I worked that one in there. Number 20, work hard and be nice. 26, be fearless. 39, pursue your passion. But you know which one that kind of hit me square between the eyes when I think about young folks today? It's lesson number 11. Embrace unspectacular preparation.
Well, that one comes from my business partner of more than 27, 28 years, Tony Signori, who's our CEO. And he preaches that to everybody, and it's the idea that, before you go into that meeting, before you go to that presentation, before you deliver that point of view to a client, it's what you do in advance of that, when no one's watching, when no one's looking. The research you put into it, the time you put into prepare, and it's so true, right? It's so true. You look at athletes, look at the greatest athletes in the world. Sure, we see them on TV on the weekend or in the big game, but we don't see them at 5 a.m. when they're running stadium steps or they're doing conditioning, right? Or they're doing preseason workouts. And he's always said that just every executive, whether young or seasoned, it's that unspectacular preparation. It's all those little things you do. And in our world, I equate that to, I think in the book I wrote, when we have the chance to present to a company, a brand, a household brand, the one thing we'll do is we'll spend hours and hours and hours going to a store or going to wherever they sell their product, and we'll buy it, we'll learn about it, we'll talk to shoppers, we'll talk to folks who sell the product in stores, whatever it might be, whether it's a car or a consumer packaged good. We just want to immerse ourselves in that brand. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? Why do people buy it? Why don't they buy it? That's kind of an example of unspectacular preparation. We're not on camera. We're not in front of anybody. We're doing it probably on a Saturday and Sunday when we might want to be enjoying ourselves. But it's that kind of preparation that hopefully sets you up for success when you do present.
Well, and it's hard for folks to understand that is the great divide. That is it's the up late at night, early in the morning, whatever it takes to get her done that you're doing. That's more than everybody else. Because if you stay doing what everybody else does, then you're going to be running in the same pack that everybody else does. You don't have a chance to separate or stand out at all.
I think you say it. I mean, the mindset I always have is I'm thinking about the competition, right? All the competition, whatever that is, and you got to think about, well, are they doing this? If they are, then what do we do that's a step above that, right? What's, as you said, what's a step beyond that? What's different? What's new? What's innovative? And you have to. If not, as again, I'll go back to what Tony says. He always likes to say, well, good is the enemy of great, and good just doesn't cut it anymore, right? Good work, good results, good effort. That just doesn't cut it anymore in today's world, right? You've got to deliver spectacular work, spectacular effort, great effort.
See, and crazy enough, people around the national media, I know sometimes harass them, but those of us that are here in H-Town, we got a great example of that in a one J.J. Watt that just tears it. And people think, oh, it's fake. No, he is the real deal. But it's just that. He excels because he's willing, oh, wait for it, I'm going to lead into another lesson. He's willing to get out of his comfort zone and do things in lesson number 44 that other folks may not be willing to do.
Where I love that, and what was it, a year or two ago, Hard Knocks, when Hard Knocks came down to Houston.
Absolutely.
And to your point, and I was going to reference Hard Knocks earlier when I talked about we don't see athletes, when they train at 5 in the morning, but a show like Hard Knocks, it gives us an inside, a behind-the-scenes look at that, and I remember watching him, what he did in the off hours, what he did when no one was watching, what he did when no one was looking. And I agree with you. I was inspired by that. I said, this guy is at the top of the game, but he wants to not only stay there, he wants to keep evolving and growing and transforming. And so he's doing things that, again, the competition may not be.
Yeah, and that's just not in professional football. That's in every profession that you can imagine that's out there. And again, I was tying it in. A lot of folks don't want to get out of their comfort zone. They want to stay in it. And I've always followed with the following quote: "In comfort, there is no growth."
Especially as the marketplace, whatever marketplace you're in, right? The kind of things that you do. I made a comment to you over the weekend. I said they've got to take this show and it's got to be syndicated nationally.
Hey, wait, say that one loud and proud again. I like how you put that.
They've got to take your show and syndicate it nationally because you're doing things that no one else is doing out there, especially in this space of growth, development, career. We need many, many, many more folks hearing the messages that you're delivering through the show. But to your point, you're not satisfied. You want to now. Okay, now where do we take the show? Where do we go next? What do we do to deliver even more value to the listeners?
No, absolutely. And let me tell you something. And this is who I am and how I'm wired. I actually shared that feedback today as soon as I walked into the studio because it's not just a credit to what I'm doing. It's to the great folks that are here. Mike behind the board, Harrison across there, Ron behind the wall behind me. People here at the studio. That you run in a pack of people. It makes all the difference in the world. And I think that translates as well too into those lessons out there. And I forget which one it is, but I know you speak to that on a couple different levels, when people are getting their careers going.
Well, yeah, it's as you know, no matter what industry, no matter what category, there's competition. Whether you're just starting, whether you're 10 years in, 20 years in, 30 years, right? Even where I am in my career, I've got to continually transform, continually evolve, continually find what are the latest, newest ways of marketing to consumers? What are the most effective ways? If I was doing things today that I was doing in 1990, well, I'd be a dinosaur and I'd be extinct, right? So I've got to continually learn and understand. That's why that last lesson, that number 101, it's be a student for life. And what I don't mean is go to school for life. I mean be a student of whatever it is you're pursuing, whatever the passions are, whatever your career is, continually learn, read the trades every day, meet with others. I love strategizing with other folks who are either in my industry, adjacent categories, just to understand how do they solve business challenges, how do they solve business problems, how do they get creative, how do they get strategic. It's powerful stuff.
Oh, it absolutely is. And a big part of that, if there was one that I preach and teach in the management leadership classes that I go at, if I ever ask a question question, I tell the students, and these are professionals, okay, that are in my classes. I'm like, if there's ever a threat of a doubt and you don't know how to answer the question, if you say the following word, you're probably going to be right 90 to 95% of the time. And it's lesson number 56. Culture is critically important.
Well, and where we go with that, there's two parts where we go with that. One is, as you said, at an organizational level, it's become more and more important, to your point, the culture and when we talk about the culture, just the environment, where you work, the vibe there. Is it a lax place or is it uptight? Is it a win at all cost or is it a work-life kind of balance place? And I think that's critical. And what I tell my students and tell other young graduates as they look for jobs, I say, when you go for an interview, I want you to, you have to see if they're right for you, not if you're right for them, but you have to see if that is the culture right. So as you walk the halls, as you go from interview to interview, observe what's around you, observe what people are doing. Do you see folks sitting around collaborating with each other, or do you see a bunch of people sitting in their offices with doors closed? And then you have to decide, is that the right place? Is that where I'm going to flourish and grow and evolve as a professional? Culture, to your point, culture is critically important. And, we talked earlier about, you still have to have some fun. I still think that's important too. Like you spend 8, 9, 10, 12, 13 hours a day at this place. Well, there better be some fun and some excitement in there that's making you get up every day and go back, and that's important as well.
No, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I feel like we could just do this in harmony all day long here, right? And people will be singing the praises above. Well, if you got 101. What's the most critical lesson that you think that resonates even in your career, or that you find the most with students? What's one or even two? And we got about 2 or 3 minutes before we go to break. That really just kind of hit it home even more for you, Mark.
Ooh,
big one, right?
That's a good one. That's a loaded question. Normally what I do is I always go back, and I don't want to tell you. Normally I go back to the first one, but we already talked a little bit about, success as a marathon. And what I mean by that is I think it's easier from my perspective, having now been in the workforce for almost 30 years. It's a lot easier when you're fresh out of college. It's hard to say. And by the way, look 20, 30 years down the road. It's just difficult. But it's the idea that consistency, success. It's not a flash in the pan kind of thing. I hate to say it. It's a day in, day out. It's what you bring to the. When you talk about J.J. Watt and you talk about other great athletes, the one thing I always go back to, it's not the numbers per se. It's not the how many home runs and how many touchdowns and how many interceptions, how many sacks. It's that consistently, day in, day out, they performed at a very high level, right? And that to me is powerful stuff. And if you can bring that to your career, your job, the place where you go, that gets noticed, and it helps you evolve and advance as well.
Well, and it dials into, I get a chance to go out regularly and talk about this element. Hey, look, it's about the effort, and that is one thing that you can control above all else that helps you be successful in your career and business. We're going to run to a break. Oh, wait, hey, we are too legit. Hey, but we're not going to quit. We're going to come back with some great more information from author and our guest, Mark Beal, 101 Lessons They Never Taught You in College, right after these messages.
Sweat running all over my chest. I don't quit, no, I just press harder than I ever did before. Going for the dream that I have in store in my mind.
How old are you? 25, 35, 50, or older? If you have pain, we can help. Do your knees hurt?
Ow.
Let me ask you again. Are your knees killing you?
Oh, yeah. Are they ever?
What about your back? When you bend over, does it feel like this? How about when you get out of bed in the morning? If you're like me, your knees and back feel like this.
Oh, that hurts.
I found a company called the Pain Relief Hotline. They specialize in ways to treat your knee, back, and neck pain without surgery or taking medications. The good news is if you have insurance, you may have little or no cost or out-of-pocket expense. I've used them. It works. Call the Pain Relief Hotline now for free information. 800-989-0851. 800-989-0851. Call now. 800-989-0851. That's 800-989-0851.
Attention managers, business owners, and human resources professionals. Do you struggle with positively engaging and developing your team? Hi, this is Ron Klinger, host of the Unleashed Radio Hour. For over a decade, I have been coaching and helping leaders just like you. From management and leadership training to individual coaching and support, I can help you address the everyday challenges you face in your business or organization. If you're looking for a partner to your success, call the man who can help you with your plan. You can reach me online at motivationaltransitions.com or by phone at 832-746-9760.
This is Business 1110.
Turning it down here. And if you're a Houston Texans fan, you know that goes on when that gentleman who plays and performs with excellence, J.J. Watt, does something good in NRG Stadium, which we're hoping happens this weekend because we got another game against, the world champion New England Patriots invade town on Saturday. I know I'm going to be in that stadium cheering on, but we're here cheering you on and giving lessons and tips to help you be successful. 101 lessons they never taught you in college. Go out to 101lessonstheynevertaughtyou.com to learn more. And Mark, this is my Be Positive segment of the day. So I'm going to start out. I usually try to put a quote out there that resonates not only with our conversation, but the topic of the day. And when I really look at it and what I think we're both passionate about is helping others find joy in the work that they do. And I've got a message to employers. It is and is becoming more, whether you like it or not, part of your job and your role to help to facilitate some of that. Because people are, and I love this quote, people are no longer a company's most important asset. The spirit in which they do things is. And that's trying to help them unleash that passion that you and I have talked about. You mentioned you got a quote that you liked also that if I followed right was also from Hard Knocks.
It was. I actually, and it's funny. It's a quote that's been around, but probably, and I've heard it, but it probably didn't hit me till I watched last week's first segment in this year's series with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and it was on their wall, and it was the road to success is always under construction. So this is in their training room, in their locker room as they walk in every day. And it goes back to everything you and I talked about is you can't be stagnant. You can't be satisfied. You can't, say, I've achieved everything I've achieved. Instead, it's every day getting up. How do I evolve? How do I do better? How do I grow? How do I learn? How do I, just do what I do, but take it to another level? And when I saw that, I said, man, that is so true, right? You never actually get to the finish line. I always say you never get to the finish line called success because to this point, it's always under construction. You're always adding to it. You're always, building that super highway to success.
Yep. No, and I hear you, and I've got a great leader in my life. His name's Dr. William May Staples, former president of the University of Houston Clear Lake. I'll never forget, speaking of interviews, because it ties into our conversation, he told me, Ron, I'm temporarily satisfied. And I'm like, what? He's like, hey, we celebrate where we're at. We celebrate that temporarily, but we can always do more. And I think that absolutely speaks to the road to success is always under construction. Hey, speaking of under construction, we're going to try to we got some white zombie going on here. So we got to get up. We got to go. We're going to come back for our final segment here on the Unleashed Radio Hour.
Have you racked up more than $10,000 in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? You should know. The credit card companies are tricking you into thinking there's no way out. Credit card companies would rather you didn't know that there are ways you can become debt-free and you don't have to pay the entire amount you owe. There are debt relief programs that help people like you escape overwhelming credit card debt. National Debt Relief has helped tens of thousands of people just like you reduce more than $500 million of debt. National Debt Relief has helped so many people, they're A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. You don't have to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan. You have the right to settle your debt for a mere fraction of what you owe. Reduce a portion of your debt now. Call National Debt Relief at 800-518-4020. 800-518-4020. That's 800-518-4020.
This is Business 1110.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been rocking and rolling today. Wow is all I got to say because, Mark, we're here. We're in that final segment already here on the Unleashed Radio Hour. If you're just catching in, ladies and gentlemen, hey, go out and listen to the podcast. You can find it at unleashedradiohour.com. You can also go out and follow along on iTunes. Search for Unleashed Radio Hour. Mark Beal is with us today, author of 101 Lessons They Never Taught You in College, the essential guide for students and recent graduates to launch their careers. Mark, parting thoughts, because this one's going to go quick, and then we got to bring it to a wrap.
I'll make it real quick. It's what you do on this program. It's what we've talked about. Lesson 99, I say pay it forward. When one of my students last week called me and said, thanks for helping me get that job. And I said, well, first of all, I didn't do anything. I just opened the door. You got it. And then I half-kidded him and said, well, down the road, I'm gonna come back and need your help. But what I meant is, we all got to pay it forward, right? I heard you on previous shows talk about this, right? It's about helping others. It's about, just collaborating with others. We live in a small world. Business is a small world. If we all join forces, collaborate with each other, we can achieve some great things.
All right, you know what? Here, I'm going to preach it, not teach. I'm going to ask for a loud prophetic. Can I get an amen? Amen. We got a good going on here in the studio. Mark, hey, look, it has been absolutely a pleasure. Please know that we will connect past this show. We will get the podcast out there, and you can share it as far and wide as you need to in paying it forward. Ladies and gentlemen, absolute honor. Mark, thank you so much for joining us today here on the show.
Ron, thank you for everything, and like I said, let's go national with this show.
Hey, I give you an amen. All right, we'll talk soon.
You got it, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen, again, it's hard to believe we're already at the end of an hour. That went by faster than most shows that I've ever participated in. Great content, great dialogue. And I think one of the things that resonates from that discussion, it's great to be affirmed, but I'm also going to give some affirmation. When you put people together and you have a conversation about what people are passionate about, it's really, really hard. I'm just going to be blunt. Really hard to shut them up because we had a great show, great flow to today. Again, we had with us today author Mark Beal. He is a managing partner of Taylor, one of the world's leading consumer public relations agencies. Again, that is a mouthful. Also is an adjunct professor in the School of Communication at Rutgers University, where he's taught hundreds of students since 2013. He got the gumption. He wanted to write the book, 101 Lessons They Never Taught You in College, the essential guide for students and recent graduates to launch their careers. Hey, you can just easily go out, learn about the book, 101 Lessons They Never Taught You.com. Again, 101 Lessons They Never Taught You.com. Real easy read. Like I said, I gave some favorite ones, and ironically, what he put out there was one of the last ones that I actually lessons that I tagged that we didn't get to talk about, but collaboration is critical. And I can't wait to get to Mission Critical and do some more collaboration with Mark. He was a great guest, great passion for what he's doing, great professional that's out there. And ladies and gentlemen, that's what this show is all about. So look, I want you to go out, follow along out on Facebook if you haven't already. Go out, search Unleashed Radio Hour, like the page. I share information and resources. Sometimes it's just stuff that the show is about. Sometimes it's not about a topic, but something that's happening in the world that can help you unleash your career in business. Follow along with me on the Twitterverse at Ron Unleashed. You can also follow along at Superfans4Biz, Superfans4Biz on Twitter. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege, it is an honor. Until next week, see ya!